Okay, let's get started. Yeah, I, I don't mind if no one comes, or more people don't come. It's fine with me. Um, if no one
Well,
comes,
thank you.
then I'll just talk anyway.
Well, we're here, so thank you, Colin.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming, and it's great that you take an interest to do that. It shows good self-awareness. Do you want to go ahead with that question, Louise, about the 1111?
Yes, please. May we please discuss 11-11-11 and all that can be done with it, its purpose, how to best utilize it, work with it, be with it, how it continues on, the portals that are opening, and if you know about ways to actually access portals during this period to transport us to other dimensions.
Yeah, that the last part is a difficult one because we're pretty stuck in this dimension, and the way to raise to go through to other dimensions is to well, you can access them through stargates. Okay, that's one way, but the stargates here have been damaged and they're under control of the Archon, so we don't have access to them. And they've hidden them away from us, so most people don't even know where they are. The other way is through wormholes, which is how the secret space program, people who fly in flying saucers and go through other dimensions, they use the wormholes. And wormholes are portals you access through what they call the 0-point field. Yeah, and wormholes have a specific way they work and the way they spiral. You get clockwise spirals and counterclockwise spirals. And depending on which direction you want to travel, you go with a clockwise or anti-clockwise spiral. And it's also ways of accessing future timelines and past timelines. So yeah, these are pretty advanced sciences, but they're known here. We've known about these technologies for a long time. In I think it was 1945, they were experimenting with a ship to transport the ship through a wormhole. It was called the Philadelphia experiment. There were two, the Montauk and the Philadelphia. And they managed to actually make the ship disappear. But when they brought it back, it had some unfortunate consequences in that some of the crew members were embedded into the steel of the ship. And two crew members got left behind in another time-space continuum. And one of them appeared in 1963 in New York Harbor. And he was the same age he was when he looked the same age as he was when he left in 1945. And you can find his testimony. I've forgotten his name, but you can find his testimony on the internet. Just look up the Montauk experiment and the Philadelphia experiments.
I've read that story before.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've known about these technologies for a long time. When it comes to actual ascension, we can't go through wormholes. It'll be too dangerous for us, and we can't access the stargates. So what the beloveds are doing is they're trying to raise the frequency of the planet. The frequencies. Now, these are frequencies of light and sound. It's the material, it's a plasma field that is really what I call the soul. And the earth is the soul, and we have the soul. And in the soul, in this field of plasma that we experience our reality, the light and sound waves. So raising the frequency of these waves is one way, not only in ourselves, but the earth itself is one way that we'll be able to go through this ascension process. So we are actually going through what is called an ascension cycle. And it's sometimes called the stellar activation cycle. And that what it is basically is the solar system revolves, well, it actually spirals in a circle around the galactic center. And every 25,000 years, it passes through the galactic sun. And when that happens, the galactic sun triggers off a bolt of energy, what some people call a solar flash. And these are just high vibrational photons and particles that are traveling through the universe. A photon is just a particle of light. And these come through the universe and pass through the galaxy and then enter into what we call the sun. And then the sun sets off the spark, and that energy then comes to Earth. But this has been coming through for a long time now. And the starting point of this ascension cycle was 2012, was when we actually passed through the galactic sun. But it takes 33 years of this energy coming in. So the galactic, the ascension cycle will end in 2045. But in that timeline of 33 years, we're practically in the center of that. And the 11-11-11 is the center point of this ascension cycle. So that's where we are now. Over the next 8, 15, 16 years, there's going to be ever-increasing waves of energy coming through from the central galactic sun, which is going to raise the frequency of all soul beings on the planet, including Mother Earth. Now, people don't recognize it, but all manifest reality is based on a universal creation template. And all soul beings are in a evolutionary cycle. So anything that is manifest has a soul to some extent. It's activated to some extent. Now, we first arrive here as bacteria, then we become amoeba and so on, and we go through the process of, being the insects, worms, insects, fish, crustaceans, and then fish. And so everything is in this cycle, in the progressive cycle of soul evolution. And so when we ascend, all the soul beings on here, meaning all the vegetation, the animals, birds, fish, everything, water, is going to start vibrating at a higher level. And this could be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but we should understand that we've been aided by many of our off-planetary soul family. And they became very concerned what was happening on this planet when the atom bombs were released over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because those atom bombs sent off a reverberation through the universe, because all that collapsing energy draws in other energy from other parts of the universe as well. And so our soul family are just afraid that the fallen ones who are running this planet are going to eventually do what they've done on other planets, and that is start a nuclear war and use nuclear technology to blow the planet up. I don't know if you're aware, but there was a planet in our solar system called Malbec, which was destroyed in this way by the Archons and Anunnaki races. And that planet is now the asteroid belt. and its neighboring planet was a planet called Nibiru. And because of the explosion that happened on Malbec that blew it into bits, Nibiru was sent off on a different orbit to the rest of the planets in our solar system. And that goes out and comes back every about 13 years. There's a cycle of about 13,000 years, sorry. And it looks like it's due back sometime pretty soon in the next couple of 40, 50 years. So we'll be seeing the effect of that because it has a magnetic effect on all the planets as well. So yeah, the progressing into other dimensions. The way it was done with me when I went through a kind of an ascension process, I had to raise my frequencies to a very high level of vibration. And it was very uncomfortable for me to live here because I couldn't function properly. Because my energy was so high that I was blowing, popping light bulbs, and my motor car wouldn't start when I started it, but it started when other people started it. My computer wouldn't work because of the high electromagnetic energy coming off my body. So once I got back here, I had to learn how to press down to lower my frequencies. Because if I didn't...
You had to dumb yourself down?
Yeah. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to function properly. So yeah, while everyone else is trying to get their frequencies up, I'm busy trying to keep my frequency down. But I know how to do it to get my frequencies up again. And I'll do it when it's necessary, but on a day-to-day basis, it's not viable because, as I say, I get so filled with electromagnetic energy that it starts interfering with the electrical appliances around me. Yeah, but the way to raise one's frequency is, as we've been talking about in our group that Susan sent, is really through our thoughts and emotions. That's the starting point, because what people do here, they what I call they can be inauthentic. So they feel one thing and they say another thing, or they feel they want to do something and then they do another thing, or someone asks them to go and do something and they don't really want to do it, but to please the other person, they say yes, they'll do it. And this sets up what are called interference waves in our energy field. And so what happens at the top and the bottom of these two different waves meeting collapse the wave. And so that reduces our energy. And whenever we self-sabotage, that's what we're doing. We're actually just collapsing our frequencies in our soul fields. So one has to be, in a high level of integrity and the way to do that is to observe your emotions and thoughts. And as the old saying goes, know thyself. You have to know thyself and be thyself in, authentically and in integrity. And once you can do that, then that's the starting point. Then from there, you can progress to higher levels of frequency generation, if I can call it that. And that's by using visualization, your imagination, toning, spinning, dancing, clapping, drumming, anything that gets rhythm going. And if you can get the cycles of the rhythm of your body higher, I'm not talking about your physical body, but you can use your physical body to raise the energy in your soul fields. Because as our soul fields, actually, the way it's constructed is like the two intersecting pyramids, one pointing up and one pointing down. And they counter-rotate around each other. And that sets up a toroidal field in the center of our soul body, and all energy spins around that toroidal field. The electric energy spin one way and the magnetic energy spin the other way, and they're opposite for males and females. So, one can help, and that field of energy is called the Merkaba field. Okay, and at the bottom spin is 1/3 less than the top spin. So that's the ratio of the spinning. So if the top is spinning at 3 revs a second, then the bottom is spinning in the opposite direction at 1 rev a second. And this differential in the spin speed sets up a certain shape, which is called the Merkaba. I can show you what it looks like.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Are you familiar?
I've experienced it around me and placed it around other people too.
Yeah, and
I was able to.
The Merkaba field creates a energy field that looks a bit like a teardrop. Okay.
Yes.
And that is called the Merkaba vehicle. Okay. Now, believe it or not, beings from higher dimensions can travel around the universe in these Merkaba fields. And Corey Good's been talking about these, he called them something else. He just kind of orbs. Yeah, he said these great, huge orbs are coming into the atmosphere. And in the secret space program, they started noticing that these things were coming in since about 2012. And those are just Merkaba fields. This sounds pretty science fiction, but that's
well, I've seen them, Colin.
Yeah.
And I'm able to take a picture in front of me, in front of a mirror, with the light off and the flash off, and I'm able to capture pictures of them on me, and I can feel them and I know them. Yeah. And I've also seen a floor to ceiling one standing in my room with a beloved family member, not family this realm, family multidimensional, standing there in front of me, and it was plasma. It was like sparkly all around it, and it was blue, and it was the whole room. It was floor to ceiling, not the whole room, but floor to ceiling. Yeah. It was very big. Yes, I experienced that in my awake state, eyes open, looking at it. I wanted to talk to you about the wormhole. So what you're speaking of, I've experienced. I had to lower my vibration, my frequency, because it was so high that it was hard to be around. It's hard for other people sometimes to be around me and me them, because the energy was so high. And I lived in my hermitage for years, and the family frequently visited. They were there. They were like, we didn't visit, we were there. Right. So recently, I'm on the constant quest of, I actually have a realm that I go to that's infinite, that I journey to. I'm there, I'm connected, as multiple worlds, and all kinds of cool things occur. And so in one time I was there, which was recently, I was having a come to Jesus conversation with the family about things here, because I not only speak for myself, I speak on behalf of humanity. And so I get a bit fired up on some things. So we were having a conversation. And then after that, I went to the healing city in the realm. And I went in there. And then I got sucked through the back. And I went, seriously, it was like a wormhole. I went through a wormhole. It was Shiva. I went through a wormhole. And Shiva came and got me, took me to Shiva's mountain, then took me to an area where I was created. Yeah. So I have been through the wormhole. Louise wants to do this in a physical way. Like, I want to have a way. Okay. So they're like, we discussed this yesterday. So it is about the plasma field. It is about the space within the things. So all that space between us that's here is what like Keshe's tapped into, Tesla mastered it, and plasma. And so there is a way that the plasma that is here, which is actually no thing, which is another meaning for Shiva, is a way to do this.
Yeah.
And I want to know, I want to do it. I want to go to the realm. And I already do. I want to do it in an even more physical way.
Yeah. Well, the way to do it is to raise your energy, and when you do that, it's going to be uncomfortable for you to live here. Because
Make it so uncomfortable. They're reminding me when I was a kid, my whole family went to Colorado without me, except my 2 little sisters. And I was 5. And I yelled and screamed and jumped up and down. And the babysitter calls my dad. She's like, I can't handle her. He goes, I understand. I will fly her here. So I'm 5 years old. He sends me a ticket. And I go and I anyway, I got to Colorado and got what I wanted. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to raise my energy so high to where it's like, okay, Louise, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. To understand portals and wormholes, we have chakras. And
yes.
Chakras are energy spirals. They spiral out through the first chakra spirals out, does reverse and comes back into the second chakra. The second chakra then spirals out the back, spirals up to the third chakra, and so on. But we've actually got 12 chakras. There's 7 on-body chakras and there are 5 off-body chakras.
I love, Colin, I must say, I love how you explain the chakras, because how I've seen them before, it was like none of it made sense. So you're saying the one comes in and then loops into the second one, then comes out the back, and then comes in the front, and then it creates this patterning one to the next, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, that makes so much more. None of it. I was like, I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it works. The direction of the spiral is different for males and females. So a female will have a magnetic spiral coming out, which is anti-clockwise from the first chakra, it goes into the second chakra. But a male will have an electric spiral, which is clockwise, and his spiral will be clockwise out. So they work exactly the same way, but they're just spinning in different directions.
So female spins at counter?
The female spin is the counter clockwise.
I've always done counter, and it was always like, Louise, you're supposed to be clockwise. I'm like, it's not clockwise for me, it's counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Louise. I go counter on a lot of my stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it just seems more normal for me to flow that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it now, like we've got chakras, when we activate these chakras in our bodies, the 12 chakras, we then activate more of the cell codes in our soul fields. But the earth also has chakras, stars have chakras, and solar systems have chakras, and galaxies have chakras. And these are the connecting energy points in, on our bodies, on Earth, in the solar system, on the galactic level. Then there's also universal chakras. And it all works the same way, basically, in the sense that they spiral in and out and they connect different energy points. Now, those are what are called wormholes. But the wormholes are actually just the way the chakra system works in, you know, in the universe.
So I was utilizing my chakras as the wormhole created.
Yeah. You see,
Okay.
there's something to understand, which is also quite a difficult concept, and that is the universe is a fractal energy system. So every bit connects to everything else. So what we do in our bodies, we're doing to the earth. And what the earth is doing is going to do to the sun. And what the sun is doing is going to do to the other planets in our solar system. And what they do will connect with the galaxy, and the galaxy will connect with the universe. So everything is just a replication of the micro. So the micro is replicated in the macro. So what we do in our bodies is also being done to our planet Earth, our Mother Earth, who is a soul being. And she is a female energy that's predominantly a magnetic field of energy. And so her Merkaba body spins in a different direction to the male chakras. The male Merkaba, the top spin is clockwise, and for the female, it's anti-clockwise. So we live in a universe of just spiraling energy, actually. And these are connecting points. The wormholes are connecting points between one energy point and another. And that's how we are meant to travel through the universe, navigate our way through the universe. Quite a crazy system.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I hear what you're saying, and a lot of this is now fitting into place with some of the articles that I have read of yours, Colin, which I really didn't quite comprehend, and other articles that I've read which I really haven't quite comprehend. But now I'm putting the pieces together.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You know, I don't speak much about the more sort of advanced physics behind the universe because I don't want to confuse people. But I know both of you would, you know, have raised your energy enough to be able to absorb what I'm telling you. It took me some time when I was waking up, to come to terms. But once I saw the whole picture, I thought, all you have to do is know yourself. Know how you work as a soul being, how your energy works, how you can control the energy in your soul field, and you know, raise your frequencies in your own soul field, and you know, you can do remarkable stuff. But when it comes to manifesting, you know, I've set out in 2006 and left everything I had behind, and I only took with me what I could carry. So, you know, I set off, didn't know how I was going to earn a living or anything like that. And here I am, you know, 12 years later, and still don't know where money's going to come from, but it comes.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's always enough, and it arrives on time. So sometimes I'll have not a cent to my name and no food in the house, and someone will walk past and say, "Hey, I'm going to the shops. Can I get you anything?" I say, "Yeah, can you get me a can of beans and some eggs?" Okay, and they come back and say, "Yeah, you are." And I say, "Well, thanks. I'll pay you when I got some money." "No, don't worry, you can have it." But fortunately, you know, I don't eat a lot of food, so I can draw energy out of the sun, and so I can actually live without food for quite a long time.
Beautiful. Colin, I wanted to ask you, thank you for all of that. And we could actually even go more into all of that. There's something that I think will roll into that as well, will be to discuss our personal resonance and what influences and impact does our resonance have? Again, we are the masters of our universe, so we want to understand and to master, literally master our universe in a way for all.
Yeah. Well, it starts with mastering oneself.
Yes.
And learning not to self-sabotage. And people, are bred to self-sabotage. They go through what I call a downward spiral of self-defeat. And so they say one thing and they mean another thing, or they do things that they don't really want to do, and they compromise themselves by telling little lies and saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. But on a soul level, what it's doing, it's creating a wave that cancels out any frequency waves that are there, so they flatline. I did a post about this recently and showed how it works in science. You take two waves that have the same amplitude and frequency, and you superimpose them onto each other, so you have two waves. They actually double in size when you do that. So by being in integrity with yourself, you're doubling the amount of energy in your soul body. But if you move those waves out to the halfway point in the upside and downside of the wave, what happens that energy of those waves cancel each other out, and the wave goes flat. Okay, now that's what happens when people self-sabotage themselves. They're raising their energies, but then they self-sabotage them, and that flattens the energy. So we keep raising energy, flattening, raising, flattening. And mastery self is sustaining integrity and really being authentic with yourself, with other people, not telling lies or deceiving people, speaking your truth, holding the highest values that you can. So honesty, integrity, love, kindness, joy, peace, patience, loving kindness, temperance, self-control. All these are very strong values, and they raise your frequencies as well. Now, when you get into the other side of the spiral, which boredom, pessimism, frustration, feeling overwhelmed, being disappointed, having doubts, worry, blame, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, and feeling like a victim. All of these things are cancelling out any good that you think you hold in your in the positive wave fields, in the positive waves. So one has to be very careful not to go into those negative emotions, because they actually reduce your frequencies significantly. It's not that difficult to hold high energy if you stay in integrity with yourself, and you hold the highest values, and you're authentic. And in 2006, when I left Cape Town to come to Joburg, just before I left, I made this my mantra, that anything less than love is not acceptable. And then I began to watch my actions, my thoughts, and my emotions. And whenever I had a thought or emotion that was less than love, I would kill it. I would stop it, and then make a new confession, or I'd resolve not to do that, think that, or feel that, whatever it was that was being negative. And so I'm able to keep by just being the watcher of my thoughts and emotions, and getting rid of all the negativity in my fields, I'm able to keep my frequencies at quite a high level. But as I say, I can't raise them too high, because that will make it difficult for me to live here. I sometimes feel they're too high, then I have to go outside and I, I ground my energy into the Earth's fields and lower my frequencies that way. You can do that, just go barefoot, or the best way is to bury your feet in the soil or sand somewhere. And just take a deep breath and blow out very hard. And as you're doing that, intend the energy to go downward into the Earth's grids. And that's quite a good way to ground energy into the Earth. You know, it also raises Mother Earth's energy when we do that. You talked about the 11, 11, 11. So we more or less at the midpoint. In 11, 11, 11 is a spiral, okay? And that spiral of energy that's being created on the 11, 11, 11 is like a spiral that will connect us to a new timeline. Okay, and the new timeline is in another higher density. So from this point on, we begin to create the replica of ourselves in another timeline. Of course, when we ascend, we don't actually go up anywhere. We just raise the frequencies of our energy and we become that person that we already are becoming in another time-space continuum.
I already have a me there, Colin.
Yeah.
I do have a me there. Yes.
Yeah. Most people are not aware of that. They have many versions of themselves in the universe, you know, that
yes.
They just living on simultaneously, but on other timelines.
Yes. Yeah. I'm well aware. And I literally have a new earth, new realm, infinite realm where I am, and I'm actually multiple me's there.
Yeah.
Right. So how's the spiral going to get me there? So you're talking about the us that's there and the us that's here.
Yeah.
Now, how do the two come together?
Well, what will happen is when the final solar flash actually hits us, you know, the real storm that's coming, that's going to change the consciousness of this planet completely, and it'll be overnight. So, you know, it'll be one moment in time, boom, you're here. Next moment in time, your reality changes. And nothing really changes except you're in a different space-time continuum. And all the negativity around us will disappear because it won't be able to exist in the new higher energy fields. Because all that negativity is very low frequency stuff.
Agree. Now, with that, will each individual person, humanity, have, based upon them and all of that, where they then transcend to, are we all going together with Mother Earth and then rising up together? What will it look like?
Well, our soul families, you know, part of their strategy has been in 2014, they took back control of the blank state technologies and the frequency fence around planet Earth. They haven't lifted that frequency fence because they're still, and they invited the fallen ones who were off planet to leave. They gave them refuge somewhere else. But now they told me then that we have to deal with the on-planet fallen ones. And these are people who have a fallen energy field, and they're negative energies here. And so it's up to us to get rid of them, because if ascension occurs, they will go too. And we don't want that. So we've got to round them up and let the galactic councils deal with them. What I'm told they might do is just take them off planet, put them on a spaceship and just take them off planet somewhere.
Good.
But we've got to round them up and, make people aware of what's been happening here, with all the pedophilia, Satan worship, Satanism, and to make people aware that some of the people that are living here are robots. That they don't have a soul, they sociopaths and psychopaths, and they're incapable of emotion, of human emotion. They can smile and look, but everything they do is like double speak. They don't laugh with you, they laugh at you.
I'm understanding that part of that roundup is being done with the indictments.
Yeah.
Do you understand that as well, Colin?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole part of the strategy. And, a lot of the world leaders have been briefed on this by the higher dimensional beings. And they're playing ball, but some countries are not. And but what happens is once the US falls, that's going to have a domino effect around the world, where people are going to say, "Wow, now we know where the children are going to. Now we know, why everything's done in secret. Now we know why they've got all these secret societies. Now we know what the black magic and all that is." They'll begin to wake up, and when they start doing that, it's in some countries, they've already started rounding these people up, like in the US, but there's some countries where it hasn't even dawned on the populations there or the leaders there that this is going on.
Well, I did hear recently a good news that Angela Merkel is stepping down from Germany. And my understanding is that, she was a player in the evil side rather than the light side. And she was a part of that, the fallen ones. I like how you call them fallen ones.
Yeah.
So she was a part of that. So we're seeing this around, but then again, we have, the attack on California right now.
Yeah.
And that's why to me, there's an urgency, a very big urgency that I want the families to hear us, that it's time to do this now. It's time to bring in the fallen ones now, because they're still doing things. And so they're burning up parts of California.
Yeah. Well, they have a secret agenda, which they've had for a long time. But now the fallen ones on planet are trying to carry out that agenda without the assistance of their off-planetary sort of masters. And that plan involved reducing the Earth's population to about 500 million people. So that means about their intention was to kill off about 7 billion people here. And they've been trying as hard as they can to carry out that agenda. But now they've got, in the secret space program, you get the positive side and the negative side. And the negative side are using their directed energy weapons.
Yes.
To create these fires in California.
Which means they're using technology that we don't have access to, which means we need more of the family's help with this.
Yeah.
They're telling us we need to round these guys up, but they're using technology that we don't have. I mean, you get a directed energy weapon. Yeah, we could possibly do something with it, but it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy to, to shut that down. So family, hear us. Hear us, please.
Yeah. And that's what we should speak to our higher selves. When we are in integrity and we resonating with what is called a unique resident resonance. So each soul being has a unique energy signature, And when we resonate at that energy signature, we have direct communication with other beings in the universe. And so,
Yes.
so we can communicate with them, you know,
Yes.
on a soul level, yeah.
Yes. Which is why I'm speaking about it right now with you, with Sue. There's 3 of us together, and I'm speaking it.
Yeah. You know, we can intend, just the 3 of us can just spend a minute of meditation where we end this meeting and just create a strong intention for the capture of all the fallen ones here. But we should avoid, you know, any thoughts of outcomes. So we must just, not have any expectations or predict any outcomes, but just ask without expectation, without projecting any outcome. So we mustn't think about them being indicted or imprisoned or going to jail or being beheaded or, you know, being political or anything like that. It's just they must be captured. That's it. What happens after that is will take care of itself.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so this 11-11-11 spiral is like a midpoint on this, in what is called the cosmic cycle. And each ascension cycle happens about any 25,500 years. So we reached that point in 2012, December 2012, and we're more or less at that midpoint now, because the midpoint is about 15 and a half years. So 2012, December 2012 plus 15 and a half years, this makes us more or less the center of the of that cycle. And when that, if enough energy is created in that 15 and a half years, then that energy creates a spiral out of our energy system, the Earth energy system, and it embeds itself into a higher timeline. And so it's almost like you know, a scanner. When you use a scanner, a light comes and scans a picture, and then the information from that picture goes down through the machine and it prints itself out as a two-dimensional piece of paper. Well, if you can imagine that happening in the 3 dimensions, that the Earth is now going to go through that scanning process in order to create the image that it's going to be when we ascend into a different timeline. And it's done through spiraling waves of light and sound. And it's pretty much like a portal that is being created. Yeah. Between one end point and another.
So with that, during this ascension process, will we all go to the same place, or can we go to our own places?
Well, the answer to that is we all go to the same place, but it's the same place where we are now. But it just has a different energy. So nothing much changes except the plants and everything will look different. The sky will look different. We'll be semi-etheric beings, so we won't be as dense as we are now. We'll be able to telepath again, and we're gonna have to learn how to do that, because we're going to be hearing other people's thoughts and they're going to be hearing our thoughts. So one has to really manage oneself, you know, very carefully in that sort of dimensional field, because manifestation works almost instantly there. So if you think a thought and you're creating something in your mind, you can manifest it almost instantly. So you have to be very careful what you manifest and thinking about. Yeah. Yeah, and from there, once we're in a higher dimension, from there we can travel anywhere we like, because then all the stargates and Q sites will be activated again. And
Yeah, I just saw that. When I
yeah,
asked the question, I saw how I'd get there. Yeah, because they'll all be open up, so we can do travel.
yeah,
We can travel, yeah, broadly.
yeah.
Absolutely.
On this planet, we can't do that because the fallen ones have, have all the stargates captive, and they've damaged or have captured all the Q sites. Now, a Q site is just a crystal pylon grid that goes deep down into the Earth's deep down into the Earth. You can actually find some photographs of these on YouTube, because some of them have been discovered, and these are massive crystals that go a mile deep into the Earth. So you can imagine all that energy from those crystals. Yeah, but once we ascend, then the stargates will hopefully be open to us, and we're able to use them. But we'll also be able to use wormholes. We'll be able to learn how to use our Merkaba fields to travel as well, because it's just a field of energy, a Merkaba, and the soul is just a field of energy. And with a semi-etheric body, you weigh less and you're less dense, so you can move your body around a lot easier. But it's a totally different consciousness, in the next density. And I went up into the third density, where it's absolutely crazy, if you go there. And I was told to be very careful about my thoughts, because they instantly manifest there. So what I mean by this is, if you're walking along and you're looking up at the sky and you want the sky to be green, it'll turn green. So, and then everyone complains, "Hey, who did that?" So you have to be accountable for your thoughts big time there.
Yep. In the realm I travel to, I can instantly create. So I've actually been being trained for that.
Yeah.
Yes. We're getting close to the end, Colin, and we wanted to do the prayer or the intent declaration.
Okay, let's do that now. Just close your eyes and let's just stay silent for a little bit. Breathe in slowly and regularly. Feel the air filling your lungs and feeling the air in your body. And just know that that air is energy. And you can direct that energy with your breath. So you can breathe deep breaths. And as you're doing that, pull down from above your head, down through your body, a pale silver light, to rest about 12 feet from your body, where your 12th chakra is. And then I'm going to let mine spin clockwise as I look down at it, and you let it spin anti-clockwise. And that helps to activate the light body. And try to feel this light body spinning around your body. out about 3 foot around you. And then just in the area of your third eye, just see the words, fallen ones captured. And create a strong intention there for the fallen ones to be captured. And see the letters imprinted in front of you. Then we're going to take a deep breath and then hold it for a few seconds. And then we're going to blow out forcefully and project a beam of light, of indigo light. It's a very dark blue indigo light out from the third eye, out into the universe. So you're still seeing fallen ones captured, fallen ones captured, fallen ones captured. Now we take a deep breath and hold. And then forcefully blow out, and as you do, send that beam of indigo light out in front of you and through those letters. Just breathe easy. Now what we're going to do is anchor that intention into the earth. So we're going to send the spiraling energy that's around us, this pale silver energy, we're going to send it down to the center of the earth. So we just take a deep breath and then we blow out forcefully and intend that energy to go into the earth's grids. And see it going down, 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 down to the earth's grids. And when it reaches the center of the earth, it sends off a crimson spark. Now, just as you begin to regain your outer environment again, just imagine the silver gray, this pale silver energy around you. Just imagine it slowly evaporating like a mirage. And whenever you feel you want to reinforce that field again, just do the same procedure. Call it pale silver energy around you, spin it around, do the inhale, forcefully exhale through the third eye, the indigo light. And once you've done that, push that energy down into the earth's fields again. And when it reaches the center of the earth, you can just imagine a crimson flame appears. So that's, there are many more exercises that and meditations I've done, like connecting the various parts of my chakras together, all 12 of them, and then using them to clear out any what are called miasms in my chakras, and to create an open field of energy exchange around in my soul body. And I can also do exercise, a technique where I spin my body around. I hold my arms out around me and I spin my body. And for me, it would be clockwise. So it's left arm going out forwards and right arm going backwards. For females, it'll be the other direction. And then I just spin my body 6 times around one direction and imagine my top Merkaba field spinning in that direction, and then I spin my body in the other direction and imagine my Merkaba field spinning in the opposite direction. So what I'm doing is creating that visual so that I'm assisting my soul body to create that same Merkaba field within my physical body, because all reality works within a Merkaba field.
Okay, can I say something here? I have a question.
Okay.
Is what we just, well, whatever you just did, is that anything related to the Maharic seal infusion?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been doing the Maharic seal liquid light shield, however it is, one or the other.
Yeah.
And they talk about the infusion, and I could never find anything about the infusion online.
The infusion.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. They, like I said, they had talked some kind about a Maharic seal infusion that you can do on others for some kind of healing.
I don't know about that you can do it for others.
Okay. Like I said, that was a part that I didn't quite understand. Okay.
Yeah.
And I could never find any information online about it. But what we just went through, it gives me pause to think about, and connect the two and see what I can come up with in the end. And my other statement is, would you please post this video on your site so that I could go back and re-listen to it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, because for me, this is a big part of my truth. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, our thoughts are energy. And when we combine the energy of our thoughts and emotions, it creates a very strong field of energy. So if we're talking from our headspace all the time, we overlaying, in other words, those two energies are cancelling each other out. We're overlaying the emotional energy. So when our head thoughts and our emotions are in balance with each other, they actually create a bigger field of energy. But when they are opposite each other, so one must talk from the heart and the head, and think from the heart and the head. And that seems silly, people say you think with your brains, but we don't. The brain can't think. The brain is not capable of thinking. It's the soul that thinks.
I know when everything comes from my heart that I just feel a release, and I know it's not coming from my head.
Yeah. Okay, beloved.
Colin, next week, so after we did that, you described 2 other ones that you did, not the spinning one, the other one. Can we maybe do that next week together?
Is that the activating the Merkaba fields?
I don't remember what you called it, but after we came back from doing it, you then described another one that you do.
Yeah.
And then that one I'm talking about. if we could do
Okay.
that. Yeah, that's the one that kind of jumped out at me. And then also, even repeating what we did today again with another intent, so we can continue doing this work and actually helping things, just doing what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember about 3 months ago, just over 3 months ago, I got this message, telepath, and all it said was 15th of November 2018. And I know when I get messages like that, I must pay attention. So I don't know what's happening on the 15th. I got no information about it, but it was just a number. So I think, yeah, but we could see some changes taking place on the 15th. So let's hold a strong intention for that.
Wonderful. I have that down on my calendar that you were notified of that date. Now, for next week, what should I call that exercise or process we're going to do to remind you which one it is?
Just call it activating the soul energy body.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, what you do, it's a visualization where you activate the first chakra, and the color of the first chakra is red, and then that goes up around to the front and comes to the back. And when it gets to the back, it becomes, to the second chakra, it becomes an orange field. And then the orange field spirals out the back and goes into the third chakra. And the third chakra color is yellow. So you just visualizing all those colors going through your different body. Do you know where the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th chakras are?
Above your head.
Right.
Yeah, you get the 8 and 9 coming from just above your ears. They spiral through your head, just above your ears. They pass through your pineal gland and they come out through the opposite directions. And 8 and 9 is right hand 8, left hand 9. And then your 10th chakra is 6 inches above your head. 11th chakra is 12 inches above your head, and your 12th chakra is 12 inches below your feet. So we're going to go through the exercise of just connecting all those chakras together and visualizing the colors.
Great.
Okay.
I'll put that down on the list. I keep a list going for us, Colin.
Yeah, okay. And what I'll do is I'll also put in the colors and for each chakra. So,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love this. This was a great call. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Colin. All the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you
Bye.
all.
Love you all.